My warm greetings to everyone. I am Richa Joshi and I work as Assistant Professor in Khalsa College of Law. Today I will talk about theories of punishment. Crime is a wrong that directly and in a serious manner threatens the security of the society and thus should not be left redressable only with compensation. Reaction to crime differs in various stages of civilization, and even at the same time, it can be different in different societies. The kind of punishment given in a society represents the basic values of that society. Based on these values, there are three approaches which prevail: the punitive approach, the therapeutic approach, and the preventive approach. The punitive approach considers that criminal is a bad and dangerous person who should be punished for the protection of society. The therapeutic approach considers that criminal is a victim of circumstances and thus should be treated for reforming him. Preventive approach considers that such conditions should be created which are helpful in preventing commission of crimes. All these approaches coexist in the society. The most usual reaction to a crime is punishment. And for punishment to be a measure of checking crime, it should be having three essentials. These include providing an opportunity for fresh start, and second one is that a state in whose name punishment is inflicted should hold high values which the offender can be expected to acknowledge. As per Montesquieu, a punishment which is not born out of essential necessity should not be given. It would be equivalent to tyranny. So, from these approaches, six theories of punishment have developed, namely the Retributive Theory, the Deterrent Theory, the Preventive Theory, the Reformative Theory, Expiatory Theory, and Utilitarian Theory. The first one is Retributive Theory. This theory is the most basic yet most inconsiderate theory that can be inflicted upon a person for having committed a crime. It is based on the principle of an eye for an eye, which according to Mahatma Gandhi will make the whole world blind. It holds on to some tenets which include that the amount of pain that is inflicted on the offender should be equal to the pain that he inflicted on victim in order to outweigh the pleasure derived from the crime he committed. The punishment is an end in itself. It is not a measure for public welfare but only general application of administration of justice. It also holds on to two doctrines which are the doctrine of societal personification and second is the doctrine of correctional vengeance. When the society in a fit of rage to seek justice forces the authorities to inflict vengeful punishment on the offender, it is said to be correctional vengeance. And whenever a heinous crime is committed against someone, the society, as if it were a natural person, considers that the whole crime was committed against itself and thus moves forward to seek justice or to conduct it itself. Then the society is said to be personified. Under this theory, it is considered essential that sense of reprobation is felt by the offender. But it is also criticized for being repressive, vindictive, and being opposite the humane approach, and even it is considered to encourage criminals by making them believe that after punishment they are free to indulge in criminality again. The second theory is the theory of deterrence. It belongs to the school of sociological jurisprudence. It was propounded by Jeremy Bentham and supported by Cesare Beccaria and Thomas Hobbes. The main objective is to deter the commission of crime by instilling fear in the minds of people with the help of adequate penalty and exemplary punishment, provided that the punishment should be in equal proportion to the crime committed. The punishment is not given for the crime committed, but to ensure that it is not repeated in future by anyone else. For this theory to be effective, the punishment should have three basic characteristics, namely swiftness, certainty, and severity. This theory has its own set of drawbacks, which is seen in case of practical implication, as in case of hardcore criminals, it fails because they have no fear of punishment, and in case of ordinary criminals, it does not work because every crime is not committed with prior intention. They may also be done on the spur of the moment. The third theory is the theory of prevention. This theory has its origin in Britain, and it was supported by Bentham, Austin, and Mill. This theory seeks to prevent the commission of crime by incapacitating the criminals, by taking away their freedoms and liberties. It is also said to be the origin of the death penalty, and paradoxically it says that has humane and realistic approach. The next theory is the theory of Reformation. The Reformation theory has developed because of radical change in the minds and attitudes of the society. According to this theory, no one is born criminal. A person should not be hated for being a sinner. It is the sin that we should hate. It involves individualistic treatment that should be given by a system of discipline to the person so that he can reform himself and also prevent himself from committing further crimes. Simultaneously, he can also be given training so that he can live a normal, free life after he is released from the prison. This theory is said to be most effective in case of women, first-time offenders, and adolescent misconduct. And this theory is best brought into practice with the help of parole, community service, and probation. However, this theory also lacks in certain aspects because poor nations are not in a position to afford the framework that is required by this theory, and everyone is not under the scope of reform, and because of its ununiform effectiveness, it lacks in many ways. The next theory is expiatory theory. The expiatory theory is also known as the theory of compensation. It is based on morality and also ancient religious perceptions. That is why it is also denied to be a legal theory by many. In this theory, it is considered that if a person after having committed crime is remorseful and is ready to compensate for the wrong committed, then he should be forgiven. To expiate is to compensate, to atone for the wrongs done by compensating the victim. This theory is considered important because it is the only theory which gets into the psychology of victim and the sufferings he has suffered at the hands of the criminal. Our last theory is the utilitarian theory. Utilitarians believed that laws should be used for the purpose of amplifying the joy of society. A punishment should bring good consequences. Thus, a punishment should never be given if it is needless, useless, or it brings more evil than the crime itself. This theory is consequentialist in nature. Whenever a punishment is imposed on a person, it has consequences on the offender as well as the society. And the total good coming from the punishment that is imposed should exceed the total evil. Thus, no theory is completely justifiable in itself. So, in agreement with the views of Supreme Court, a theory should be applied according to the conditions and merits of a case, so that a criminal does not become an enemy of the society after he is released. That was all about theories of punishment. Thank you so much.